Hello, welcome. Today, I didn't know I could do that. I'm going to be breaking down a recent remix I did of Xaviersobased song called Need Me. You can find the full remix on my SoundCloud, which is right here. Ben Air, it's right here. Here's the remix. Yeah, I will be going through the whole project, talking about some interesting choices I made. So pretty much the entire song is in A flat minor. What I like to do is if I have a sample and I want to get like a fresh perspective on it, I'll throw it in Ableton, put the warp on it, put it on repitch, and then change the BPM up. So I think the original BPM is like 160, and so I changed it and I edited it a little bit, changed the key, and I ended up having a sample that sounded like this. Which sounds pretty close to the original, but like I said, the key is changed, and also we have some Valhalla Supermassive doing some ambient work on the track, as well as later on we change up the key. We bring it down 12 semitones, and we change the warp mode, so we go from having something like this to having something like that sounds a little more like this. And I have this plugin called Decimort on there as well, which is doing some automation of the resampling frequency. Basically, we have that. That's our main sample that we're working with, and that puts us in a certain harmonic area. The other part of the sample that I use a lot is the vocal. And I obviously have it pitched up a ton, as well as some saturation on there. This is Klanghelm, yeah. It's the IVG 12, IVGI2 or something. Damn. I also put a little bit of chorus to give it a certain type of effect. I'll drop it down like 12 semitones or something to give it another type of effect. And then you can double that with the higher vocals to make it sound like we have two people talking, but we don't. So yeah, in this beginning part, a lot of the times I like to set the stage with some ambience. So that's why we have the Funk Flex Bomb as the first thing you hear, if it'll play. Right, and then we also have like some random chops from Xavier's vocal, as well as like a pretty intense chorus bass. Not much is going on in terms of processing or sound design here, but the key thing that happens is that the chorus, I automate the chorus wetness, and so the chorus goes from pretty high intensity to low intensity, so it goes from like wide and like kind of unclear to being a little more precise. We also have some ambience coming from these drums. But yeah, we get a lot of ambience in this beginning section. There's another like part of the song where Xavier and I think DJ Renacy are talking on a podcast or something, and this is that.
Yo, that's legendary, bro. I'm telling you right now, we gonna pass like 5.
And we also have like some reverse claps.
Right.
A lot of time with ambient stuff, it's not necessarily about making things that stick out. It's about creating like a big sort of backdrop for everything to stand over.
It's either me or FL Studio.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing that we have in this part 2 is that it's me or FL Studio, which is like not my tag, but just something I like putting in because I think it's funny.
It's either me or FL Studio.
We get to this next section, which starts to build like the groove of everything, which is floating around the think break. What I like to do with it is like chop it up and play it at my own pace. So here it is in the context of everything. Bass that's playing as well. And I have a delay as well that's doing a lot of extra rhythmic work too, that goes in and out. It doesn't play all the time. It's going in and out. As well as this stuff. And then we also have this perk, subtle, and I have it panned so it catches you in the left and the right ears at different times. And then another cool part of this section is this gliss that I do on the bass. This laser sound that I love. And and that comes from Analog Lab, so that's where that's from.
Wanna see the latest in the geeks? Wanna see all about TV? Wanna see the latest in the geeks? Wanna see all about Wanna see the latest in the geeks? Wanna see
Oh, I also mess around with the vocals in terms of pitch and length. So this section right here, I took the 1C. I take that, I warp it, in some cases pitch it down to make it in key, and then stretch it out. Kind of re-emphasizes like the 1C line that I'm playing with in this section.
Wanna see the latest in the geeks? Wanna see all about TV? Wanna see the latest in the geeks? Wanna see all about Wanna see the latest in the geeks? Wanna see all about TV?
Yeah, I use the north sound. As well as a riser, you can hear that in there as well. Honestly, as a whole, this project is pretty bare bones. Like, there's not a lot of mixing stuff going on. I think it's just about like this one. I just tried to be tasteful with like the rhythmic aspects of stuff and making it feel like a playful rhythmic sort of things. And this is all leading up to this next section, which is a really interesting, somewhat off-putting drop. But basically, a lot of the rhythms from here come from a triplet, and the triplet is over the 4. So it's like you have 1, 2, 3, 4. That was probably wrong. I think that's what it is. And it's a pretty awkward rhythm, but I love how it interacts with the vocal and kind of like throws you off. But also, if you're listening for that clap, which people are in dance music, you'll be able to stay with everything. So. Yeah. So that's what that sounds like, and it really gets carried by that clap, which makes sure it's locked in. I like to mess with speaker on, speaker off, which is a really cool feature of Ableton. Yeah. So for example, right, like we have these chops on this sample. I'll take each chop and use that as a marker for speaker on, speaker off, and then I'll paste this whole thing here. And that brings me over here because this triplet rhythm that I'm doing in the bass drum, I'm taking that and I'm using that as my speaker off, speaker on automation rhythm. So yeah, I have the rhythm set up with that speaker on, speaker off, making that weird gating sound. With everything together. And that perk is so cool too. This perk is carrying a lot. Giving it like that extra like bounce. So right when it comes back to the 4/4 for just a second, you can really feel where everything is. And yeah, this kick, it's only one plugin, but it does a lot to it. And I'm also doing a little bit of automation too as far as coloring goes, which gives it less punch and a little bit more top end to it. Yeah, so then we get to this second section, which is like the drops. Just a lot of fills with this bass. You can tell there's like a lot going on bass-wise. On top of that, we have like a lead. Everything is getting sidechained, both the bass and the leads. We also got this arpeggio. And I've done a little bit of automation on the arpeggio as far as like cutoff and stuff goes, so it gets bright. So this is what that part sounds like too. And you have the return of the think break, which I think sounds super cool. I like using Apple plugins in Ableton because they dumb down the things you can do by a lot. I use the AU new pitch all the time because it gives a really cool texture. So like it completely smooths out all the transients. There's not a lot of like attack to them anymore. It even kind of sounds like a shaker disco thing. So I just love the way that sounds. And then you get the 16th notes added with this art, makes a really cool feel. and I'll add little pauses for the vocal to come through. I'll literally hit this plus up here and just allow myself to improvise. So I'll take the same bass line, paste it over a bunch of times, but then as it's recording, I'll just add little fills here and there, you know, like something like that, or like, I don't know. It livens it up because you don't want to hear the same bass line over and over, I feel like. Introduction of a new instrument, which is just, it says lead, it's not. It's a pad I made in Serum, and we just have a side chain. I have the arpeggio going, and this kick drum is kind of just going all over the place as far as kick drums go. Got the crazy bass fills. That's so yeah, that's the majority of this first section. Pretty sure I got everything. Then we get to this next section. We get the sample from the beginning, except this time instead of resampling it and making it real crunchy, it's resampled, and we have a filter on the remnants of the resampling, so it sounds a little underwater type. And I'm automating the resampler frequency like I said I was doing before as well, and it has a really like powerful 4 on the floor kick going, and then we have this melody. So yeah. The chops for me are probably one of the most important parts of like music making. It's not always about filling the spaces. Sometimes if you take away stuff, it feels like you put something in. So for example, this section, even those two like offbeats, they feel like they do a lot for the motion and everything to me. So I like doing stuff like that all the time, where I just chop stuff up, like right here too. Just little things. So yeah, that's what I like about that section. Then moving on to this, we have the vocals from before, the same vocals, section of them, except this time they're warped. They're down 12 semitones, and I put the preserve on like 58. Where all the eighth notes get preserved in a way where they sound like falling on top of each other. This is what I mean. And then from there we get into this section, which is a Jersey club sort of vibe, I guess. I'm using the classic bed squeak sound, and I'm putting that with a 4 on the floor, so the whole thing has an interesting pop. And then we get into this last section, which is, oh, this is very cool. So basically at the end of the song, Xavier is talking to somebody. I'm not really sure who.
I don't want to call it hyper pop, but like, you know, it's a whole scenery.
That's what that sounds like. And I chopped that up and quantized it in a way, caught some of the transients in a certain pattern. And I thought it made a really cool, like, almost like Project Pat sample way, where the vocals sound like a percussive element.
And the sound that you just like move against a pop.
So I put that on top of the 4 on the floor, and it created a nice pattern.
And the sound that you just like move against a pop.
I know that if I'm gonna play this in like a DJ set or something like that, I need to have a part of the song where I can mix in another track. So I felt like this would be a good place. There's not a lot of melodic stuff happening. It would be easy to do something like that. So yeah. We add some chops from the vocal, some claps, and then finally we finish off with just him talking.
I don't want to call it hyper pop, but like,
That's pretty much the whole breakdown of everything. I hope some of the stuff I did is helpful. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to Xaviersobased and his team for this song, needme. And stay tuned. I'll definitely be breaking down more stuff in the future. So, goodbye.